Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. It is packed, but we're going to have a great show for you today. I'm a little bit behind, so as we speak here, I'm trying to populate all the 4 videos that I have to show you today. And who knows what else you guys have that you guys want me to show, but I am doing that as we speak. Stop Denmark, Anand Giridharadas, France. I got you loaded. All right, folks, how are my peeps doing today? I trust everybody is doing just fine. Let me make sure and get these signals going. Denmark is in. I got Denmark in. I've got Stop the Postal Service in. That's there. I've also got the France president in, or I should say the French president in. And lastly, not least, Anand Giridharadas, I've got in. All right, let's see. Welcome aboard. First in the house today again was Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have in the house Billy Allison Irwin. Of course, we're talking about Summerwood, Texas. We also have in the house, Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas. Joanne from the beach. She's go to the beach fog afternoon to you all. She is coming into us from LA. We also have in the house Lee the Bearcat coming in from Austin, Texas. We also have in the house, let's see where else we have in the house. Para ver. AVQ from Brooklyn, New York, said he's watching from Twitch. In the house is Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. We have in the house as well Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood, and Jay Ray, Houston, Texas, in the house as well. We are populating, folks. We are populating in just fine. And we have a whole bunch of folks on Substack. Of course, hey, Martha, welcome aboard. I can't see it very well on Substack. Letha K, Kathy Bierman, Mila just joined. And let's see who else we've got. Oh, it's not easy to do the Substack stuff yet. I think Substack need to create a interface that we can actually interact better with our people that are watching there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Before we get started. Para ver. Billy Allison Harris said hello. Let's see, let's see. Jay Ray say hello, peeps. Michael Rudden says, Eric, what is the right-wing bubble telling you we should do with return deportees? Oh, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Lee the Bearcat says, I think France actually complimented Trump on bringing in Russia. You have to discern the difference between complimenting in real and just trying to appease. Right now, people know that Trump is a young little punk, and that if you stroke him, that you can get more out of him by making him believe that you think he's the best thing since apple pie. But we all know that he's just a sour orange, nothing more. And that's all. No magic behind it, folks. No magic at all behind it. Anyhow, I had a piece here from that I want to play early on. Since I don't have anything from our knowledgeable few here ready to read. Normally some of you would have stuff that you want me to handle right away. So I'll get right into the videos because we have quite a few of them. The first one that I want to bring to you is the one from Anand Giridharadas, pretty much telling Democrats, get out of the way if you can't do things the right way. So here we go. That's how we'll start. Oh, let me get low. Oh, come on, Egberto, get it right. There we go. Anand Giridharadas has a message for the Democratic leadership. If you can't lead, step out of the way and let those who are ready to lead, let those who understand the existential nature of the danger that Americans are in by having a autocrat in the making, get out of the way and leave it open for those who are willing. I want you to listen to this interchange between Joe Scarborough and Anand Giridharadas, who pretty much says, Democratic leadership, you really need to stop being defensive. You really need to grow a spine, and you really need to get out of the way. I'm paraphrasing. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
It's so fascinating, Anand, what you write about, that it's about psychology as much as it is about spending cuts. And no greater evidence of that than the words of Donald Trump's new OMB director, a man who helped put Project 2025 together. ProPublica uncovered this quote. I believe it's from October. And this is the quote. We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down. We want to put them in trauma. And you take what Maura just said with what you wrote about this being about psychology as much as anything. Trauma, overwhelming everybody, not just federal employees, but overwhelming Democrats, independents, the media, you name it. And then you go back and look at these words. This is, if you take Russell at his own words, this is part of the plan.
It is. You know, America right now is living through a hostile takeover by billionaires and bullies. And we don't have an opposition that is able to say that simply, clearly, and starkly. And you're exactly right. People like Russell Vought and certainly Donald Trump and Elon Musk understand that they are playing on a level of human psychology, right? They're doing politics, but the primary level, I would argue, on which they are operating is a level of psychology, mental health, traumatizing people, gaslighting people, being kind of psychologically abusive to the nation, striking fear, as Maura was saying, into every employee who doesn't know if they're next, doesn't know what to do, can't focus on their kids when they're sitting with them at night trying to read a book to them because in the back of their mind is this email that they're maybe supposed to respond to justify their existence to someone who's not even technically a federal employee. And this hostile takeover on this level of psychology, playing with people's nerves, is still not being opposed by Democrats who understand to play on the same turf of psychology and who understand.
What do you think they need to do, Ann? And I know that you're talking about people need to get involved. They need to run for office. They need to, so what's the answer? What do Democrats need to be doing in your opinion that they're not doing right now?
We need a strategy up and down, right? So running for office is a longer term thing. We got thousands of people looking into that. But right now, the top leaders of the Democratic Party, I don't expect the revolution to come from them, but the top leaders of the Democratic Party need to stop being milquetoast. I'll be very specific. Last night, Rachel Maddow's show, Leader Jeffries is on the show. Tell me if I'm wrong. You can at me on any social media platform if I'm wrong. I don't think any American watching that interview with Leader Jeffries would have come away feeling defended deep in their heart in the middle of an autocratic takeover by that high-ranking Democrat. It was full of legal terms as it relates to in terms of, and it was full of every time she gave him a chance to empathize with people who say he's not doing enough, they're not doing enough. Every time she gave him that opportunity as a gifted interviewer that she is, instead of saying, yeah, I can get why people feel that way about what we're doing. Nope, we're doing this. Nope, we don't need any more steel in our spine. Defensiveness and self-protection do not make an opposition. It is going to take a true fiery opposition that understands how deeply undefended Americans feel right now by this psychological onslaught by the abuser in chief and by his shadow president. And it's going to take, if you are not one of the people with the mettle to stand up to an autocratic coup, get out of the way. There are so many other jobs. Become a lobbyist like you're probably planning to do anyway in a few years. Accelerate that plan. Get out of the way for people who know how to stand up and are adequate to this moment.
And that is absolutely correct. There are a myriad of Democrats right now that know how to handle the likes of Donald Trump and how to promote that message to the American people that they can understand what these guys are really doing. Not using all this antiseptic speech or whatever, but going to the guts of where they need to go. You have to wonder. AOC attempted to lead the oversight committee. We got an old guy who's been there. It's his turn, but he has no energy to go out there and fight this fight that we're in. We also have Jasmine Crockett, who attempted to be chairperson of the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. We know that Jasmine Crockett is an excellent communicator. We know that she knows she can think on the fly and she can nail it whenever they bloviate or whenever they attempt to pull one over, which is what we need. The American people need to hear competence. The American people need to hear that this person has my back. The American people need to realize that, oh, they get it. And right now, from the leader right back down, they are not doing the job. Anand went ahead and gave the example of the leader of the Democratic Party speaking to Rachel Maddow last night. And the amount of passion that was needed, not legalese that says we are winning in court and all that kind of stuff, but no, we are going to take them to court and beat them, and we are going to slow down the House however we can, and we will work with the Senate to ensure that these bills that harm Americans, both in red states and blue states, aren't done. We are going to put all blocking mechanisms in. We need to hear the passion from these folks. And you know what? They may think it's not functional, but when people feel that passion and they feel like we can make a difference, they get up. And if they get up and they go to each one of those town halls, if they keep those switchboards going, if they start marching on Washington, if they start doing these things, they scare Congress people who want to serve another term. You know, Jasmine went on a program recently and she said, look, we don't have to wait on the midterms. We can activate now. There are 3 seats up for grab, 2 in Florida and 1 in New York. And those seats are likely they're Republican seats. But guess what? When you go ahead and you start filling the entire field with the message in those 3 districts that Donald Trump is taking away the Medicaid of your people, that Donald Trump is going to destroy the Medicare of your people, that Donald Trump is going to ensure that your school district, those after-school programs are gone. He's going to ensure that the breakfast for the most needed children are gone. And, you know, people who are not fed correctly, they grew up with mental deficiencies, and people with mental deficiency have a bigger likelihood of becoming criminals and endangering your community. All these things that should be said outright continuously to point out that, look, yes, you guys made a mistake by electing this felonious criminal, but we still have a second crack at preventing his most dangerous effectuation from coming to pass. It can be done, but you have to have those who are willing to fight. You have to have those who are going to speak up. You can't have the legalese, well, we are fighting in court and we're doing this. No, it's not only about fighting in court. The American people don't see that. That happens behind closed doors. You have to do what Bernie Sanders is doing, the oligarchic tour around the country. But Bernie is one guy. You have to do what Jasmine Crockett is doing. She's making the rounds and she's activating folks. You got to do what AOC is doing. You got to do what Maxwell is doing from Florida. But those are just a few. If these guys were the actual leaders in the Democratic Party, they could activate other resources to get the job done. Anand nails it. We need Hakeem Jeffries to, yes, grow a spine, speak louder. Not only speak louder, speak more to the people and not to lawyers. That is what we need right now. Because what we are faced with is a clear and present danger that isn't going away until those people who realize that it's a steam truck rolling in. Until that comes to pass, we're giving them a running start to further destroy the country. Absolutely. So we're giving them the red light to destroy the country if we don't get with the program. Okay, let's see. Lady Birkek says, no, that's the wrong message that I'm going to. Hey, Joe, I'm interested to find out what that's all about. I just went to get my vaccine and all of a sudden my Medicaid status is different, turned away. Give me a call right now, please, if you can. I want America to hear that it has already started. Give me a call if you can. The number is 281-823-7747. I'll hold back on the next video because I want that story of what occurred to you today when you attempted to get your vaccine. So please give me a call at 281-823-7747 if you have the wherewithal to do so. As I wait for your call, if you're going to call, let me go to see what else we've got here. Lady Bearcat says, what is the deal with Reed? Well, Reed got canned. She was she didn't hold back on the messaging that she told. She was very truthful. And because of what she did, she got the axe. But let me tell you, I am so impressed with both O'Donnell as well as Rachel Maddow, because Rachel Maddow came on her network and told an inconvenient truth that all the shows that got canned were shows of people of color. Joyanne Reed got canned. Ayman Mohyeddin got cut, and a couple others got cut. Two Asian women, a black guy, Joyanne Reed, who is black, and also an Arab person. I mean, those are the shows that got cut. And you have to ask yourself the visuals that presents in a time when Donald Trump is stressing what is it again? Diversity, equity, DEI. Okay? You have to ask yourself the question that MSNBC cut those 5 shows. There it is. Thank you for bringing that up, Michael. Jonathan Capehart, Katie Fang, Ayman Mohyeddin, and Joyanne Reed, and you're missing one. The other one is what's her name? The one that replaced Rachel Maddow when she's not there. That one. The 5th one is the one who replaced Rachel Maddow. She's out in the field right now working for MSNBC. But what I'm saying, think about the image think about the graphics that shows you from the progressive. But we always know MSNBC, yeah, they're progressive, as progressive goes as they can. But can you believe the 5 shows that get cut? All 5 of them People of color. Then you can go ahead and say, but wait a minute, what are the ratings? Are they rated? Were they the lowest rated shows? No, they were not. So I mean, look, that a new chairperson can come in or a new president can come in and do that and not think it shows something. Again, remember the book that I wrote, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. To those of us who live it, to those of us who live it, it's never strange. It is expected. So who asked me that question again? Lee the Bearcat? Yeah, Lee. It's not surprising at all. And what I was happy about is how she left. She left without saying anything. She left it for others to say. And you know who did say it right away? Rachel Maddow came on and she said it. It should come as no surprise what is actually happening. Brother Magner is in the house. How are you doing, my dear brother? Talk to me.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're on.
Hey, good afternoon. I was going to see if Joe is going to call in. Maybe she can't at the moment, but my girlfriend's sister is 43. She has some intellectual development issues, multiple sclerosis, and one of the people that when I say either you don't want them to work or they can't work is kind of one of the people that I have in mind.
Hold one second. Let me get Joe.
Yeah.
And all right, Joe, are you there?
AI is taking notes. Note taking
Joe.
has stopped.
Okay, Joe, are you there? Okay, I'm going to connect both calls. All right, Joe, and we have on the line both Joe and Patrick. Patrick, continue with your story as we put Joe. Joe, hold on a second. Let's finish with Patrick. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hi, Joe. As I was saying, she has intellectual difficulties and multiple sclerosis. Doesn't have a lot to offer to the workforce. And she also has breast cancer, and she was diagnosed just at the end of last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, she moved from New Mexico to here to get some help at MD Anderson, and she's been on government assistance for a while. And they've got a friend of the family that's a lawyer trying to help. My girlfriend, who is very well educated, and her mother, all working on trying to help her, and they're making phone calls to try and get grants and things like that. People aren't even answering the phones.
Yeah.
And when the phones are being answered, nobody knows what's going on. They'll pick up the phone to tell you that they don't know what to tell you. And so that was kind of an example that I thought that maybe you're interested in. I also noticed that when I got my 4 vaccines, the expense was $340. I paid $0. But if that stops and people are expected to pay over $300 to get vaccines, we're going to be in a heck of a mess because most people will forgo doing that.
Absolutely. So let me get that. It seemed like Joe is calling again. All right, Joe,
Hi,
are you?
I'm right here.
Okay, hold 1 second, Joe. Let me finish with Patrick. Yeah, Patrick. So what you're saying is, especially since we know that Kennedy is now our the person who runs, I think, the CDC, or actually the entire health department now. Who knows if all of that free vaccine to keep that's actually going to keep people healthy going to continue, right?
That's correct. And there's a vulnerable population out there that is dependent on us getting vaccines. We're not just getting vaccines for ourselves, but we're getting vaccines for people who can't get vaccines.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so we're not thinking about those people either.
Well, so let me go to Joe now hold on a second there, Patrick. Joe, you just mentioned in the chat, that you went to get a vaccine today, and now that it seems like we're having Donald Trump, who has really destroyed or is attempting to destroy government, you were turned away for your vaccine. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Okay, I went to it's a CVS that I go to get my vaccine, and this was
Ah,
for the new COVID one. And they said that my information, my status, Medicaid is unavailable, but they have my name and address, and they turned me away. And just by chance, my other friend Nicholas went today to a doctor to have his regular blood test, and they had the same problem. And he's also in Los Angeles. They said that he's on Medicare. He's older. That's the one that when you're older, right? Medicare. Like,
yes.
and they turned him away. He had to pay $200 instead. He just paid it. Luckily, he had it. And then they also told me that the free vaccines are not free anymore at all whatsoever.
That is it is shameful that I don't know if you saw the story about several of the technical guys that work for those civil servants that work in the computer departments and know all the technicalities. They decided to quit because they couldn't deal with what Doge is actually doing and screwing with the computer systems. We remember earlier
I
on,
did see that. People are
right?
just purged my information. I even brought my hard paperwork with me, but they
Mhm.
couldn't use it because it wouldn't be confirmed by the computer.
Exactly. They are destroying government. In fact, if you recall, earlier on, all the states, when they attempted to get their monies for different projects, they didn't have access to their money. We also had Doge taking back 80 something million dollars out of New York. What we are seeing is the systemic destruction of government that's been working
Very quickly.
fairly
Very quickly.
efficiently. It's always easier to destroy something than it is to build it back up. But what we have to have, Joe, is our stories like yours going out there and people understand that the Trump administration under the auspices of Musk's Doge is going to continue to make people's lives harder, more difficult. And you know what? You are in LA, but all those people in rural America going to their CVSs in rural America, they are going to find the same problem that you are finding. They can't pull their
I
Medicaid
admit
records
that
up,
I thought,
etc.
right. I admit that I thought, California government would protect me a little bit. No, it didn't.
Well, California government can't protect something that is actually centralized in the federal government, right? And that is what we have to work it. So it is so important going forward that these stories come out. So thank you, Joe, for telling me this story. And
Thank
thank
you.
absolutely
Okay.
so. And
Thank you.
Miss Patrick, I got to go to another video. Thank you for telling me the story about your sister as well. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right, folks. We have another video to play. This is about the working class is in angst, and they make you believe that the working class is in angst because of immigration. Yes, immigration can cause angst if your government isn't taking care of those who should be taken care of. And it seems they can spin it as if, well, it's the immigrants that's causing your problem. Well, I tell you what, listen to this piece I did on Denmark, and then we'll take it on the other side. New York Times senior writer David Leonhardt has an article that he put out there talking about how comes, unlike all the other European democracies and the United States, that the population seem to have gone to the right. How did Denmark have a population that continues to go left, and not only go left, but the people like what they're seeing? And the answer is simple, but I think he missed one thing in his analysis, and I think that has to do with following the narrative that the plutocracy would like to use. And I think all people are susceptible to that. But here's the thing. I want you to listen to this, and then let's take it on the other side, because I want to add to what he has to say.
David Leonhardt, you have a new piece for New York Times Magazine titled "In an Age of Right-Wing Populism, Why Are Denmark's Liberals Winning?" In it, you examine how Denmark's liberals have managed to get tough on immigration and create a years-long winning coalition. One of my old favorite sayings about American politics was as goes Burlington, so goes France. In this case, though, as goes Denmark in 2025, so goes Denmark. They seem to be standing alone here. How have they done it?
Yeah, it's really striking. Not only has a center-left government won re-election since COVID, which is really hard to find anywhere, right? In the U.S., in Canada, in Germany, these governments are falling. But the far right in Denmark has really been marginalized. It's quite small. And so basically what's happened is that the center-left government in Denmark, the Social Democrats, the prime minister's name is Mette Frederiksen, they've gotten really tough on immigration. And they've said, look, we are not going to allow our immigration levels to soar to the levels that they have in Sweden, in Germany, and in the last few years in the United States. And on every other issue, they've been very progressive. They've expanded abortion rights. They've done this big, ambitious climate law. They've made the retirement system so it helps lower-income workers more. And it's basically taken all these blue-collar workers who really don't like high immigration, in part because it's their communities that tend to be on the front lines of it. We've seen this in southern Texas. We've seen it in Queens, in New York. And they've taken immigration kind of off the table as a major issue. And so the blue collar voters that in so many other countries have drifted to the right or even the far right are instead voting on things like retirement benefits. And they're voting for the party that's on the left there.
Now, listen succinctly to what he talks about. The blue collar workers, what we like to call here in America, the working class, they are given the social programs and social safety nets that keeps them whole. And when they speak about the immigration issue in Denmark, it is clear that, as in just about every other country in the world, the assimilation of the immigrants in a ordered form is what spoofs these people in Denmark, even the progressives in Denmark, because again, this fright of having all these people come in and what it's going to do for you is an issue. So how did Denmark handle it? Denmark went ahead and progressives went ahead and say, we will have immigration, but we'll do it in a strict manner. That is a completely different story than what we have in America. In America, we need the immigrants. Our birth rates are too low. The amount of products that we put out from farming to otherwise need more people. Our social security system will not survive if we don't have a lot more immigrants in. But if you use immigrants as a scapegoat and at the same time you don't provide the social programs that makes life livable for the working class, then of course you can use the immigrants as a scapegoat, even as you need those immigrants as they needed them in Ohio, as they went ahead and brought back the economy to several cities in Ohio. They brought back the economy to several cities around the entire nation. So what I think David Leonhardt got incorrect is the role of immigrants and the fear tactics. Now, in a homogeneous country that Denmark used to be, they may not have been used to seeing a whole lot of immigrants, but here in the United States, we are a country of immigrants, a country of a lot of different people looking a lot of different ways, having a lot of different cultures. We already have that, but you can have leaders either exploit that or bring that into a fold, into a homogeneity, into a mosaic that is workable, that people enjoy and love, which, we were getting there. So it is true. The issue is not that Denmark clamped down on their immigration, which they did. Again, the issue in the United States is quite a bit different in that we need the immigrants. We have the ability to absorb the immigrants. The idea that we can have 20-something million immigrants living here, working hard, and actually are a net positive to our social security, a net positive to our economy, a net positive to the spending, on irrespective of the lies that you hear from the right, means that if we just got truthful, but not only truthful about the immigration issue, but that we provide the social safety net that Americans have earned, the problem would go away, and we would become that we would make America utopia. And guess what? Hey, I wrote a book about that. How to make America utopia. All these things need to come to pass. A perfect social safety net. We are such a rich country that we can afford it if we do not allow the billionaires to legally steal everything in this country, which is what we have. Remember, as I've written before, no billionaire has earned their billion. All the billions they have is the wealth and income denied you. Don't you ever forget that. We spend a lot of time. Don't you ever forget that every penny that billionaire has over X amount of dollars, that is monies not paid you, money not invested in our society that we have created collectively. Don't let them fool you about them being exceptional. Innovation didn't come from them. Innovation came from the collective. Innovation came from individuals who benefited from the collective. Do not ever allow them to make you believe that these people who have a billion because they are professionals in capitalism, the technology of capitalism, that somehow they innovated anything. Because, like I said, it offends me when the media refers to Elon Musk as a genius, when they refer to him as an engineer, when they refer to him as being some guy who knows stuff, because he doesn't. He got a break, a $25,000 break from his dad during the technology bubble. You remember that bubble where you create a website, you talk a whole lot of BS. 60 Minutes did a thing on this. Talk a lot of BS about your website that's going to do X, Y, and Z, and to show you how smart business people are not. You give them a website and tell them it's gonna grow flowers, and you get $1 billion in capitalization. That's what capitalism is all about. Fake. Yeah, it's ridiculous. All right. Radden says, Egberto, I want to say it again. If you want a democratic messaging, the cause of your problem isn't immigrants or trans people. The problem is the robber baron billionaire class who are leeching from you and corrupting our government. Yes, you nailed it. Breaking: U.S. reports 3.8 million new COVID-19 cases in a single week, with 550 daily infections. Currently, 1 in 87 American is infected with COVID-19. Transmission rates are now higher than at any point during the 86% of the pandemic. Yeah, look, the worst thing about it is when you're being governed by dummies, anti-scientific dummies, because they're going to hurt us all. They're going to hurt us all. On scientific dummies we are led by. Claim from Paul Fleming. The House Budget Resolution H. Con. Res. 14 doesn't touch Medicaid. Fact. The resolution directs the Energy and Commerce Committee, which oversees Medicaid, to find $880 billion in cuts, and Republicans have openly called for spending less on Medicaid. Connect the dots, Florida. I don't know what's wrong with them. You just read the framework. It tells you they want to get $880 billion out of Medicaid. Seems to me like that is self-evident, isn't it? Self-evident. All right, the next item I want to talk to you about is to simply tell you this. Stop Trump from attempting to privatize the Postal Service. Okay? We got to stop Trump from attempting the Postal Service. Let's go ahead and check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Folks, right now, Donald Trump is attempting to put the post office under the Commerce Department with the intent of privatizing privatizing your postal service. Most of the support Donald Trump gets in this country comes from rural America, red states. These are states that are most dependent on the United States Postal Service. Forget what you hear when they try to tell you how mismanaged the United States Postal Service is. It is not. The Postal Service was forced, unlike any private company. They were forced to fund their retirement for their employees for several decades out in the future. And what that did from a accounting point of view, that made it seem like the United States Postal Service was not, it shouldn't be profitable at all. The United States Postal Service maintains itself. It is one of those government agencies that don't get tax dollars. It's one of those agencies that the amount of money it collects from postal services and whatever it sells goes right back into the postal service. It is a self-sustaining body. At the times that it ran deficits, these deficits were mostly run because of what they did to their, what the government, the Republican Congress at that time, forced them to pay ahead of schedule the retirement for all of the postal employees. So it had an implied deficit. It wasn't a real deficit, an implied deficit. They've been adjusting their rates to take into account this false thing that they were forced to do. No other delivery company can get a piece of mail from Alaska, no matter where you are, to Alaska, to Hawaii, to Guam, to any part of the United States for under $1. You can get a first class piece of mail there. No private company will do that. In fact, your USPS, your UPS, United Parcel Service, Federal Express, DHL, all these private carriers who are salivating to take over the Postal Service under a Trump administration. They use the United States Postal Service for what's called the last mile. And where's the last mile? On top of that mountain in rural West Virginia, in that desert in rural Arizona, in those far-fetched areas of Northwest Texas, places that the USPS do not deliver themselves. But those people still get their parcels. Those people still get their mail. Those people still get all of this to their door by the United States Postal Service for the same price somebody in Houston, Texas, somebody in Dallas, Texas, somebody in New York, somebody anywhere. That's what your postal service does. But as the private sector would do all of the times, they would try to destroy government or their agencies so that they can collect a profit on your backs. Because the cheapest rate for what the United States Postal Service does for under $1, the cheapest that you can get it done by Federal Express is over $5. And I think it's actually quite a bit more than that now. What they're trying to do is sock it to you. The end of the Postal Service. I'm at 7 o'clock, I have to say, this is KPFT Houston. At the top of the Postal Service, what these guys are attempting to do with this new executive order that Donald Trump has planned is to destroy this agency, this governmental, quasi-governmental agency that is in the Constitution to deliver you mail. Their attempt is to privatize it, and once privatized, no longer are rural America necessarily going to get their daily mail. Yes, they're going to have regulations in there probably to say every address still has to be addressed. But what they may do is they may say, well, rural areas will get their mail maybe once a week because of cost, as opposed to their everyday delivery service right now. So if you are in rural America, if you are in red state, red county, red country, remember, I already told you, you made a bad vote. Because your Social Security, which is something we should discuss today as well, but we can't because we still haven't met our goal, and several other subjects, Your Social Security is in danger. Your Medicaid is in danger. Your family who works for the government is in danger. And now your postal, the delivery of your mail is in danger. The delivery of your medicines are in danger. The delivery of your products from whatever company you buy from is in danger because these guys want to make a profit on your back. You're not going to read this in detail in the Houston Chronicle as far as how efficient the Postal Service is because they have been training you to believe. They have been teaching you to believe. They have been trying to indoctrinate you, brainwash you into thinking that excellent agency called the United States Postal Service. There's something wrong with it. No, folks. It's the best delivery service since apple pie because no private delivery system is going to give you what the United States Postal Service gives you. We, the people of the United States, within our Constitution, is the Postal Service. And what they're trying to do is destroy it, remove it from the Constitution, and put it into the private sector. No can do. And it is incumbent on our rural MAGA brothers and sisters to get on the picket line now with your postal brothers and sisters. Because guess what? Those are good paying jobs that a lot of MAGA folks hold themselves. Folks, you cannot allow the systemic destruction of your personal economies. Every single address in America is serviced by the Postal Service. Every single address in America is not serviced by UPS, FedEx, DHL, or any of the services. Okay, they use the United States Postal Services for places they don't go. You are investing in, you are subsidizing these rich companies when you deliver their mail to rural areas. Don't let them take that away. Don't let that take them out. And you can stop that today. Yes, you can stop that today. We've got to let them stop taking advantage of us. All right. Rodin says, I think the only two professions specifically mentioned in the Constitution is the free press and postal services. I think you may be right about that. The Bearcat says USPS has pension burden. They have to pay like all other companies, which is a real liability. Yes, it is. But the other companies are not asked to get 75 years up front to pay those pension liabilities. The Postal Service was put at in other words, here it is. UPS, FedEx, and all these guys who also, some of them have pension plans, they don't have the burden that the Congress placed on the USPS. Maybe the Congress should put it on the private companies because you know what private companies do now? They go bankrupt and the pensions get taken over by the government and the government pays 20 cents on the dollar or whatever they pay on the dollar of the pension that they recover from private companies. It's horrendous. Lee Grant says, I get efficient delivery from Amazon, USPS. What I get from USPS is mostly junk mail. And you know what? That's not true. A lot of your Amazon delivery would come in the mail as well. In fact, if you order certain products, you only get Amazon delivery through the USPS. So let's be clear here, Brother Grant. That is not true. Maybe for your specific case and the products you specifically order, that may be true. But for a vast quantity of Americans, it doesn't come delivered through those Amazon trucks that, by the way, aren't Amazon anyway. It's a third party Amazon uses to take those companies off the books. It's a sham. Nebel Weber says, hi, can I ask you what your meaning to the election in Germany is because I am from there. I think Germany did a great thing over the weekend, that Germany decided to not allow the right-wing racist thugs to run their government. That tells me, yes, you do have 20% of Germans that are simply horrendous people for voting for the right. Terrible people, 20%. Those are the same people that they put the Jews in. They murdered the Jews, the 3 million Jews they murdered. but Germany is a mature country. Yeah, 20% of them are, yeah, right? But that tells me that 80% of Germans, whether they are on the left or they're on the middle right, they're good people. They had 20%, and like the winning people from EDU are also right. Yeah, look, I'm telling you, man, I was very happy with the German result. I really was. Because when you have a fascist vice president from America going to Germany and encouraging them to be right wing, Jew hating zealots, that German says, no, we will be not like that. We've learned the lessons from our history. I am so very proud of what Germany did in the last election. I know the spin over here in America is like, oh my God, Germany, the right wing is growing in Germany, 20%. The right wing is growing in Germany, 20%. What they really need to be watching for is the right wing is growing in America, 30 something percent. And if you include the adjacent people to them, 48%. America has a bigger racist problem than Germany does. I repeat, America has, the thing about Germany is they had their commissions to go up to teach that the evil that they did with the Nazis is wrong. They teach this stuff. They have policies on this stuff. We haven't been smart enough to learn from Germany's mistake to make sure it doesn't happen here. So now we have a racist industry here that promotes racism. Okay? All right. Nibel Weber says, I get your point, but I guess in Germany we have a complete other point here in Germany because of our history. Let me tell you something. I don't want you to beat up yourself too much about the German history and the Holocaust, which was horrendous and terrible. I want you to listen, and I want everybody to listen to me well. We as Americans know how to tell Germany how bad they were for the Holocaust. We know how to tell Germany that. But let's remember that the worst form of chattel slavery occurred right here in the United States. And while the German people looked at their Nazi past and said, what are we going to do about it? We had a commission on that. In South Africa, the Afrikaners had a commission, a unified commission about it. America is yet to atone for what it has done. It has yet to get honest about what slavery really was. And that's why we can have racists in this chat come back and say things like, oh, time is enough, or they can't understand generational wealth theft. They don't get it because we never taught in this country, in America, the cancerous nature of what slavery and did here in America. South Africa did it. Germany did it. We need to do it not on just the college level. We need to do it as an instructional material to let people understand the gravity that slavery was. To put it bluntly, slavery was worse than, look, and I don't like to have gradations of things, right? But the Holocaust was terrible, inhumane, and horrendous. Slavery was worse. Slavery was worse. American chattel slavery was worse. And I think Germans and all these other countries, when America comes over there to preach to them, they need to throw that right back. What happened with the genocide with the natives? That they're still, to some extent, living through the casualties of that on reservations. What happens to what has occurred to the black folks in this country? What happened to the Chinese when they came over here? All these things, we have never, America as a country, atoned for it. Yes, Germany has. And Germany even instituted laws. Like I said, we can't control the heart, but we sure as hell can control laws. And that's what Germany did. So let's not, 20% of Germans voted or are right-wing racists. Fine. America has more. America has more. And America is yet to atone for the things that we have done. So, my brother from Germany, Niebel Weber, please give yourself and your country grace, because there are many others that have yet to atone. I don't see England atoning for what they've done, and they had the entire damn world in some form of slavery or not. Okay? So let's be very, very clear about that. America is yet to atone. Germany has atoned. Now they got to clean up the right wing, and they really have to do something about their right, but we have to do the same thing as well, because our right wing is on the ascent and we have to cut it down. Our right wing evil racists are on the ascent, and it is something that we need to cut down. Anyway, folks, thank you so kindly for listening to the show. I had one more video, but I don't have the time to do it because of your wonderful commentary, your wonderful calls, etc. So I want to ask all of you to please go ahead and subscribe to our network. There are several ways to do it. You can become a patron. We love our patrons, and the patrons have a lot of different options that they can choose. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, and do whatever you can to support this program. We are just truth tellers. We're honest truth tellers that you support. The other way to support us is to go ahead and get our books. And let me scroll the books on the screen as I speak. You can go ahead and get our books, right? politicsdoneright.com/books is a way to support us as well. politicsdoneright.com/books. Another way to support us is to simply, we have an all-encompassing link for supporting us at politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. But my big or little ask is that you subscribe, become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And you can get that at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. This helps us offset all the expenses that it takes to do this. Remember, we're not just here on live stream. We're also on the radio, KPFT 90.1 FM, a Pacifica Network station. We're also write books. We also write articles, letters. We are there to populate the internet and elsewhere with the progressive message so that we can counteract the right. The right has a huge amount of investors, a big money base. They pay their people well. In fact, I've been invited to change my format to a right-wing format. I'll never do that. I'd rather die before I do that. But we can only survive in this network if you support us. So I ask you one more time to please become paid subscribers of our newsletter. And to do that, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you're on Substack, where my newsletter resides, and all of you that are listening, consider subscribing, become a paid subscriber. You get a lot of fringe benefits. Every single one of my books, right? Every single one of my books, right? You can read it on Substack if you become a paid member. And I tell you what, they're worth reading, as most people would tell you right here. Okay, whoops, I got to get out of here. Anyway, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.